Welcome. Welcome to another monthly live Crystal Q&A. I'm Mary Jo Feely. I am the owner of Fourth Dimension Healing in Stillwater, Minnesota, which is where I have my energy and crystal healing practice. And I'm also the director of the Center for Crystal and Healing Studies, which is my online school. And I perhaps will touch on that a little bit more later. But for now, I just want to say welcome to another month of great questions. I have been getting a number of questions sent to me over the past month, and I'm going to work my way through them. To be honest, I'm not actually sure if we're going to get through all of them, and so please know that if I don't get to the question that you submitted, I will reach out to you directly so that you get the answer you're looking for, and then we'll revisit that question at the beginning of next month's live Q&A. So I don't want to hesitate any bit longer, and so I'm going to just start right off the bat. A couple questions actually are not really follow-ups from last month, but they reference some of what I talked about, and so I thought it would be a great way to start this month's Q&A with these questions. So the first question is, in your last video, you said that you had just returned from the Tucson rock show. What was it like, and did you find anything new? Well, first of all, I, for a long time, wanted to go to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, which is a once-a-year event. It takes place essentially over about 2 weeks, and it actually consists of about 50 individual shows. Now, some of these shows are acres and acres. It reminds me of if you were to perhaps walk your county fairgrounds. You would be able to get an example of the size of some of these shows. And each of these shows has vendors from around the world. There are some shows that run for the entire 2-week duration and some for only parts of those 2 weeks. And there is also the large kind of the keynote show the last weekend of the 2-week run, and that is the actual Tucson Gem and Mineral Showcase. And I actually didn't even get a chance to see that this past February when I was out there. So I will have to put that on my bucket list, so to speak, and get back out there and see that. One of the things that I found so intriguing was the opportunity I had to be able to not only see some really incredible stones, large specimens, clearly larger than me. I also got a chance to talk directly with the vendors who work often directly with the mines. And so I was able to have a little bit better sense of where some of the gemstones and crystals come from, how they're sourced, and I have to admit I do have some new vendors that I'll be working with moving forward from that experience. So if you get a chance ever to be out in that part of the world, in that Tucson, Arizona area, typically at the very last weekend or so of January into the first couple weeks of February, it may be something that you will want to take a look at. They are free shows. Some of the shows are restricted to wholesale buyers only, but many of the shows are open to the public. And it's just an actually very fun to be able to walk through and see so much of the availability of the beauty that the earth provides. So there are a couple of questions actually, or actually rather a couple of items I wanted to talk with you about. And the first one is gemstone that I have not ever seen before, and perhaps you have, maybe it's new to you too. And this is Moroccan Jasper. It's absolutely gorgeous. I've also heard it referred to as Moroccan picture jasper. And if you take a look, you can see that there is so much interesting character and design that is within these stones. So whenever we're working with jasper, we really are connecting with earth energy. And when we're working with the jaspers that have those red hues, that means that they are connecting and have within them the element of iron, so that we've got a nice strong grounding type of frequency. I have another piece here I wanted to show you also. You can see how each is so different. And I'm hopeful that my camera focuses a bit. Sometimes it does not behave very well. So that was one fun stone because I had not seen that. So I will be actually going to more local gem show this upcoming weekend, and I will be looking to see if by chance any of the Moroccan Jasper has made its way into Minneapolis. The other thing I was so grateful to run into is a vendor from India. Now, I suspect that I probably over the last year, since I've been doing these live crystal Q&As monthly for the last year, I think I've talked about Shiva. If I haven't, perhaps somebody will ask a question about Shiva Lingams. I have also done a rock talk video. And if you're not familiar with a rock talk video is, the rock talk video is something that I recently, in the past couple months, started providing for you. And it's available through my YouTube channel as well as through social media. My rock talk videos are very short. They're somewhere around 5 minutes, give or take a little bit. And it's just a real quick little snippet so that you can get to know a lot in a short period of time about a number of different stones. I do know I've done a rock talk on Shiva, so you can take a look at that as well. But Shiva Lingam come out of India, and I asked the vendor, I said, why can I not find Shiva Lingams? It's just been so hard to find. And he said actually that the mine that he works with is closing. And so it has been very difficult to be able to access material. So this is an example of one. I wanted to show you just some others so that you can get a sense of how the different sizes can be worked with in various ways. Here, you see all these beautiful striations. Shiva Lingam actually resonates with the storm element. If you're not familiar with the system of elements that I work with, which are earth, fire, water, wind, and storm, you can always reach out to me and I can give you a little more information. You can also find some videos also on my channel that address what each of these elements are and some of the stones that resonate with them. So storm is about transformation, and the Shiva Lingam also, by nature of its shape, really represents both masculine and feminine. It's the receptivity of the feminine and the active creative energy of the masculine. So it's a wonderful stone to work with when you are working with transformation and balance and integrating the action with the rest that we so need. Here's another one, like this little down here. Isn't that great? Couple more. I can't tell you how thrilled I was to be able to finally get some Shiva and even some small ones. These small ones are really fun to work with. Could be that you have a little cage that you open up and slip this into. So easy to slip into a pocket. Obviously, some of the larger ones are not going to be worked with in quite that same way. So those are a couple of the takeaways that I wanted to talk with you about. But I appreciate the question because sometimes, when we go to someplace new, we're not exactly sure what to expect. And I fully had intended to take a lot of photos of the various kinds of gemstones and crystals that I was seeing. And there were just so many that I was so engaged in working with the vendors and learning about the stones and where they come from. And I just totally forgot to pull my camera out. So maybe next time I'll remember to do that. So great question. I think I'm going to go to this next one actually kind of tags in together, and it also references last month's video. And here it says, last month you said that you had been in Arizona, and this got me wondering about how crystals from different areas vary and if it matters where the crystals come from. Should I be looking for crystals that I can find where I live, or is it better to get them from other parts of the world? You know, there's a lot in this question, so I'm just going to set it here. We're just going to kind of tease it apart a little bit. So does it matter where crystals come from? That's a good starting point. My sense is it matters when it comes to the quality that you're looking for. If you're looking for, let's say, a piece of Peruvian pyrite, you're not going to want Indian pyrite. If you're looking for Indian pyrite, you're going to go to India to, you know, get that sourced material. If you want to work with pyrite, it may not matter. So be mindful of what specifically are you looking for. Fluorite is an example, found in a lot of different places. Quartz, found in a lot of different places. So if you want a particular region of the world to be part of the stone, then the location will matter. It also, I would say, would matter if you know that the stones have been mined and brought to you in a very disrespectful way, in a way that exploited workers. So if you knew that there was a high level of unethical trade, I would be mindful of that. Again, that's a personal choice, but I think it goes into the equation. Should I be looking for crystals should I be working and looking for crystals that I can find where I live? I love that, because, you know, you walk the land within your neighborhood, within your community. So it may very likely be that you are going to find stones and rocks that are going to resonate with you. You're going to find them very powerful. I'm going to give you a couple examples that I think will help you get a sense of what I'm talking about. Here, for example, and I have, I believe, worked with this same rock in other Q&As, is a beautiful piece of granite. Now, this granite came from my yard. So one, I know I have permission to work with it. It did not come from a state or national forest where ethically it would be appropriate for me to leave it rather than take it with me. So this piece of granite, which is loaded with quartz, which is silicon dioxide, and other minerals, is going to be very helpful for me when it comes to working, let's say, with the earth energies and with that kind of actually almost stormy quality that quartz has. And the fact that I got it in my own backyard has a layer of kind of flavors the stone. And so if I were to work with this, I might have a whole and entirely different experience than if I gave this stone to somebody who lives in Maine. They may find the stone helpful, but because it's tied to the geography and the geology of where I live, I believe it can make a difference. Now, with that being said, this is a piece of Sedona red rock. This was gifted to me. I didn't take it. It was gifted to me by somebody who had it within their property so that they could do that, okay? So there's some ethics involved. So when I work with this particular piece of Sedona red rock, I can connect in with the qualities and the properties. It can support me and definitely be a healing benefit to me. And I'm going to have a different experience working with it, my opinion, my experience, here in the Northern Hemisphere, in the Midwestern part of the United States, than if I had worked with this stone down in Arizona on the land where it was part of. So that's my sense. So keep in mind, there are rocks and stones all over the place. And so if you find that you're drawn to one within your the space where you inhabit the earth, then I would say do that. And remember, For example, if you want to work with charoite, and charoite I've talked about before, and I have a rock talk on charoite as well. This comes from Russia, so we are going to have to go outside of our neighborhood, so to speak, to be able to find some of the gemstones and crystals that we want to work with for healing purposes. So I hope that kind of answered that question. So I don't typically like to give questions that are yes, no. I'd rather do yes and. There's always the opportunity to explore and move into some different ways of working with gemstones and crystals. All right. Here's another question. How does a crystal wand work? I want to get one, but I do not want to use it incorrectly. There are actually a few points I want to talk about. So when we're talking about a crystal wand is either naturally shaped or has been shaped by human hands in a machine. It is a piece of gemstone or crystal that is elongated. And the intention with the wand is that it can be very directional when we are directing the energies and the properties of that particular gemstone and crystal to support healing. So I have a few examples here. So this is a septarian wand. And septarian, if I'm remembering right, I talked about septarian last month. So if you didn't get a chance to see last month's Q&A, please do take a look at it. So septarian is a stone that resonates with earth energy and also resonates with fire energy. So it can have a couple different effects and can support healing. So keep that in mind. So when working with a wand, wands typically will have a little bit flatter end and a little bit more pointed or termination end. And when I hold a wand, I'm right hand dominant, so I tend to put the more blunt, wider end kind of right here in the palm of my hand, because this is actually our palm energy center, our palm chakra or our hand chakra. And it is through our hand chakra that we're able to have energy flowing out when we're bringing healing either to ourselves or someone else. I'm going to set this down for a second. Think about this. You run into somebody, they tell you some news that's a little bit sad. It's not surprising if you perhaps reach out and give them a hug, you grab their hands and gently embrace their hands. You're doing this intuitively because this is what we do as humans. We are compassionate beings and we're learning to really allow ourselves to just express the love within us. It comes from palm chakras, which are actually connected to the heart, moves out the heart and arms into the hands. So keep that in mind when you're working with a wand. Actually, when you're working with any stones, I think it's important to remember that you have palm chakras that are very integral in the healing work you're doing. And when you're working with a wand, you're going to place the flatter end, the blunt end, into whichever is the hand that you feel most comfortable with. Now, I tend to work with my right hand a lot because I'm pretty strong right dominant. So you just want to make sure you're holding it securely. The other point is going to be used to actually, if you remember, this energy comes, healing energy comes from the heart, moves out the arms through the energy pathways or meridians and moves into the stone, through the stone, and now it comes out. So it's not our hour, but the healing energy moving through us, the love and compassion moving through us, in addition to the properties of the stone that are going to be very helpful when we're working with the wand. So in this way, if we want to direct energy away from something, we're going to point. If we want to draw energy in, then we turn it around. So sometimes if I want to really draw in energy, I might actually place a wand in my hand like this with the point or the termination right here so it can move into my body. And if I'm in the process of kind of clearing something out and working with the wand to help me, I will do it away. And I do have another video on working with wands, so you may want to take a look at that. Let me see, I don't want it to roll away. Here is another example of a healing wand. Now, this is a natural wand. This is a piece of calcite. It's almost like there's like honey calcite on this end and more of a white and clear calcite on this end. Again, naturally occurring. When you take a look, there is not necessarily a real defined point. When I work with this particular wand, I typically will look at it and I'll just get a sense which point, which end wants to be pointed away and which one wants to be pointed in, because there is no definite one way or the other. So keep that in mind also. You're going to learn as you're working with stones and crystals and your own inner healer, your own intuition and your own sense of what feels right or what just seems right. That's the important piece when you're working with gemstones and crystals. It's so easy for us to want to get locked up tight into knowing the facts, and we kind of miss the softer nuances. And so that's what I would say is when you're working with stones as wands, and this is a great example, you get to choose which you want to have for your directional point. Okay, so that's calcite. Here is a wand. This is lapis lazuli. This is a wonderful stone to work with way up here at the brow chakra. So if I have a headache, I might work with this wand and have the blunt end of the wand either at my brow or up at my crown. It might be, maybe it's over here that my headache is hurting. I might have it here and pointing away to help clear away that headache. The other thing we can do is I like to use it almost like a pen. So again, blunt end goes into the palm chakra. Now this one's pretty short. You notice that whole wand fits right inside my hand. So if I do this, that's not going to work so well, is it? So what I will do is hold it closer to the end. And I want to show you my hand here. Here's the palm chakra. That energy is running right up, right through my fingers, right out the point. So if we've got this long one, it fits great. If it's a short little one, we are going to invite the energy that gathers here in the palm chakra, and it's going to move up through the rest of our fingers and out, okay? So that is an example of another human-made, formed, I should say, wand. Selenite, and I've talked somewhat about selenite before, and I believe I have Rock Talk and also another video about selenite. Selenite is a fabulous stone to work with as a wand. So again, no distinct termination point. You get to decide which one you'd like. Again, this one's long enough, so you could easily work with it however you wanted, whether you're going to, maybe you've got some arthritis and you want to just send healing into that space. You can see almost like moving it around a little bit. And for me, I can feel the energies moving through the stone. Another way that you can work with selenite as a wand is to hold it, again, either hand, whichever you're going to be most comfortable with. And I like to comb it right through the energy field. Now, if you look at my arm, I'm going to come off about 3 inches. And I'm moving through the energy field. All right, because that's a wonderful way to clear your entire body. And when it comes to clearing the back of your body, you don't have to be a double jointed or triple jointed gymnast to do this. clear the front of your body, to clear the front of your body, and then do some more passes down the front of your body with the solid intention that you are now moving down the back of your body. And when I do that, I'm actually envisioning moving across my shoulders, across my shoulder blades, down past the vertebrae. So again, you're working with the practicality and physicality of a stone and the energetics that you're able to imagine or envision or sense. Now, some people, and I brought this to show you, and I do have some of these available on my shop. You could always go out and look and see what I have. This is also a piece of selenite. It's a long one, and some people absolutely love working with these. You can see that you can cover a lot of real estate with a big wand like this, right? This, for me personally, is too big because I'm not always I'm a little bit clumsy sometimes, and I don't want to like knock my head and hit my forehead or knock something over. These also are fabulous to even lay other crystals on, even though that's not really using it as a wand. It's a great way to be able to cleanse your other crystals and gemstones by putting them on top of selenite. And the final wand I wanted to show you is a piece of blue kyanite. Now, this is naturally occurring in this shape. Kyanite tends to grow very much like striations, and while it can be polished, it's almost always going to have this kind of long shape. It's pretty friable, and so I like working with kyanite as a wand, just as it appears here. And again, this is short, so we can't put it like all the way in the hand because it would just, our hand would just cover it. We could even hold it very much at the tip because remember, all that energy coming off of your palm chakra is coming right out the end of the blue kyanite. So those are some examples of how you could work with wands. The other piece I wanted to add to this particular question was I don't want to use it incorrectly. There's really, I'm going to just reassure you, there's really no way that we can muck this up. There's no right way to work with gemstones and crystals. There may be some ways that are going to perhaps be a little bit more effective, but we always are learning as we're working with stones. When it comes to doing things incorrectly with stones, I would say it probably has more to do with how we take care of our stones. How soft are the stones? Selenite is about 2 out of 10 on the Mohs hardness scale. So this is going to get nicked up and knocked around quite a bit if we just throw it in with a dish with other stones. It doesn't like to get wet. It's going to get really mushy. So we want to be real mindful of what composition the stone is made out of. Here is Shiva. This is a hard stone, probably around 7.5 for a Mohs hardness. So that can tolerate much more kind of wear and tear. So when we're talking about taking care of our stones, yes, there are some guidelines, definitely, when it comes to how we can take care of our stones so that they last and so that they don't accidentally get broken because we didn't care for them properly. So that would be a way that we could improve upon what our work with stones. Now, another question came in, and I just love how these questions kind of roll one into the other. And we've already kind of been talking about it, but the question is, I know that you are a Reiki healer and work with energy. How is the energy from a healer different from the energy of a crystal? All right, fabulous question. So yes, I am a Usui Reiki master teacher, which means I have studied the Usui Reiki tradition and modality of energy healing. Energy healing consists of a vast amount of various types of modalities that are designed to help a person support the rebalancing and the clearing and the shifting of the energetic aspects of their physical body so that their physical body and their physical experience in body is more balanced and holistically healthy. So that was a lot, and I want to kind of tell you about that. So when we look at our physical body, we see a physical body. We don't see our emotions, but we have them. We don't see our thoughts, but we have them. And we don't see our spiritual nature, but it's definitely part of us. So energy healing encompasses a holistic approach to healing. Crystal healing also approaches a holistic view of overall body, mind, spirit, well-being. This is where the elemental system that I work with comes into play, because the earth element has a lot to do with physicality. The storm element and the wind element has a lot to do with spiritual and mental processing. The water element has a lot to do with emotion, and the fire has a lot to do with thinking and the nervous system and creativity. So that's where we have the energetic field, the energy field of our lived experience. And I'm going to pick up this piece of charoite and the energetic healing properties of the charoite. And when we bring those together, we're able to really augment some of the healing that takes place. So any of us can work with a gemstone or crystal and have profound healing experiences. And any of us can work with an energy healing practitioner, a Reiki practitioner. I also am trained in healing touch as an example, which is a wide variety of energy healing modalities from around the world. So we can work with each of those individually. And in my experience, because I am an energy and crystal healer, I have found that bringing the energies together of the energy flow from divine life force and the energetic flow from the stones, which also comes from that divine life force energy, bringing those together. So it's kind of here we go. It's kind of a both and. We can both have the crystal healing and the energetic healing, bring it together and really have like an exclamation point when it comes to the overall benefit. I want to take just a second to say one more thing, and that is that these videos that I offer every month, these live Q&As, great. They're great. I love the questions. We really get a chance to explore and take a look at how gemstones and crystals are able to support healing for us. It also, the videos that I offer and some of the different rock talk videos, again, you're kind of filling up your bucket of information, and you're learning some techniques or ideas about how you can work with techniques. And now today we're talking a little bit about energy healing and how it all comes together. I would say that if you really want to explore how you can support your personal healing, body, mind, spirit, support and influence the well-being of your family, your community, your neighborhood, even the global community. And to do that really intentionally, it takes work. It takes dedication, and it takes an intention that you want to take the information that you're learning about and begin to integrate it together. I would say this is where my online school, the Center for Crystal and Healing Studies, can be really helpful, because I have some free mini courses, but I also have a couple of energy healing courses that take you really, I gotta say, you're going to get a good sense of kind of a global understanding of the human energy field. And then I have crystal classes, whether they are introductory classes because you've never really thought much about crystal healing. And I also offer some advanced coursework. So perhaps you've been working with crystals for a while and you're ready to take it up to the next level, you can take a look at those too. So remember, all of what I offer is first and foremost to support you in your healing and your well-being. It is important that you take care of yourself. And so that whether it is working with gemstones and crystals to support physical healing, or working with somebody who can guide you through the process of healing some of the emotional wounds of perhaps grief or loss. Those are all beautiful ways that we can work with gemstones and crystals for that. And I want to help you heal yourself, because then as we do our own work, we're able to move that out into our homes, community, and families, and our global community, which we all, of course, know we all need a lot of healing. So keep that in mind. As questions arise, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you kind of navigate and discern what you might be curious about learning more about. So that's a good way to integrate the energy healing and the crystal healing, and to kind of separate what they are and what they can do together more effectively. Okay, here's a question. It says, in one of your videos, you talked about crystals that can help get a person unstuck. I think that was last month. You mentioned a stone called Rhodonite. Can you please talk more about it? It sounds like a stone that I might want to have in my collection. Well, great. I actually just recently created a rock talk on Rhodonite. So it'll give you like 5 minutes worth of Rhodonite. So Rhodonite is a stone that last month I made reference to when we were talking about how, in my experience and opinion, I've found that when we're feeling stuck, working with stones that have that energy of the earth, that's grounding, and also the energy of fire, which is kind of like a oomph, those can be really helpful. So Rhodonite is one of those stones. Rhodonite is a manganese silicate, which means it's got manganese, which kind of gives it its pink color, or rather, yeah, pink color. All right, I get my stones mixed up sometimes. And it also has silicone, it has iron in it, it has different minerals. And so I wanted to show you some examples. Depending on which stone you're interested in is going to tell you perhaps where the work is you're being invited to do. So just looking at these stones, I'm going to just not say anything more about them. I'm just going to show you them. There's one. Another one. Here's a third example. All right, so think about which stone of the three did you find yourself most drawn to? And this will change from time to time, but this is just a kind of a little, what do they do? A real quick check-in. The reason I want to ask this question in this way, that actually I get a sense it just kind of came through this way for us to take a look at, is if we are really drawn to a stone that's got a lot of dark, so some of this Rhodonite has these beautiful, beautiful inclusions. To me, that is a little indicator. It may be different for you, but my sense is that that's an indicator that we may find more helpful for us with that grounding piece, kind of getting our feet underneath us, our hips connected with our legs, our body over our hips, to really be present. And when we find ourselves perhaps more attracted to a stone, in this case the Rhodonite, with a lot of the pink, could it be that we're being invited to do more work related to love, compassion, open-heartedness? Because when we work with stones that are pink, we are going to be working with the heart chakra. And one of the things that I do mention as we move, if you were to move through one of my energy healing courses, is that, you know, we often think of the heart chakra as green. In fact, I often refer to this little hanging behind me. So that's very common to have that heart chakra be equivalent to green colored stones. It can be really helpful. Do I have a green stone? I do have a green I'm looking for a green stone. Yeah, this is kind of a green stone. This is a piece of fluorite, okay? So the green stone resonates with that heart chakra, which is great. So does the pink, but the pink is the level of the heart chakra, but at a higher level within the energy field. And so you get to learn more about various aspects of the energy field, perhaps if you were to take an energy healing class. But just for now, keep in mind that pink is always going to associate with a higher level of love and compassion, which of course we all want to be able to live into and to be able to express. And then life gets in the way and we feel like we're starting over again, but we're not. We're just in the process of clearing. So if you're finding that you really want to be nurtured with loving heart energy, pink stones, and here we're talking about the rhodonite, can be really helpful. So that's rhodonite. It is just a fabulous stone to work with. I have worked with rhodonite for many years. And this, for example, would be a piece that you would have like as a display, not carry around, right? So that is that stone. Another question I have, and you can see I have several stones we're going to be kind of talking about. What are some good suggestions for gemstones to help me with communicating better? Don't we all wish we had a bucket of those? I am sort of having some issues at work and I want to have the right gemstone with me. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the stones that could be helpful when it comes to communication. And I'm going to follow up with the very last few words that this person mentioned in their question is, I want to have the right gemstone with me. So there, again, remember, there is no right or wrong to gemstones. There may be one that perhaps might be a better fit, just like we have clothes, right? There's not necessarily a right or a wrong piece of clothing to wear, but one might be a little bit more appropriate. If we're going out into the rain, we probably want to have a raincoat. We don't want to have a windbreaker or a parka. So keep that in mind. And again, the more you work with your stones, the more you learn about the stones and how to integrate the stones into your own healing, you will know, you will have that inner knowing of which stone would be most helpful to work with for you. So when we're talking about stones and communication, we're really talking about the throat chakra, aren't we? And the throat chakra is definitely about communication. It is about expressing ourselves. And it's more than just verbal expression. It could be that you have a project you're working on at work and you're kind of stuck and you're just not quite sure what it is, but it's just almost there. You may want to work with the stone that's kind of got some earth and fire, like the rhodonite we just talked about, or some of the stones I talked about last month. And it could be that it's just really right on the edge of being expressed, and it could be a throat stone that you want to work with. You can't see above, but above this, so it's red, orange, yellow, green, then it's blue, and blue is the throat. So I like to take a look at how to work with stones in different ways. And one of the ways that works really well is to work with stones that are aligned with the same colors as the chakras. So I selected stones that are blue or kind of that blue-green. A little higher up above the throat is indigo, and that's more of the brow. So for example, I'm going to pull our lapis wand back out. This is blue. It could definitely be helpful at the throat chakra. It might be that you want to use a wand of lapis to either kind of unclear or clear or direct energy in or release a block out. That could work. This is a stone. Lapis is a stone that resonates with the wind element, and wind really does have more to do with that upper head space. And a water element is more that heart and throat. And so with the system that I work with, I'm going to tend to work with blue stones or maybe green or aqua or turquoise stones that are going to resonate with water, because that's the area and the energy of that particular part of our body. So I'm going to just show you a number of stones to give you a sense of what you could potentially work with. A great stone to support communication is Amazonite. I have a couple pieces here I wanted to show you. This is a piece that is rough or raw. And actually last month there was a question about the difference of working with rough and raw stones. So go ahead and take a look at that if you haven't already seen that. And then here is a piece of Amazonite that's been tumbled. Obviously, if I'm going to want to slip this in a pocket at work, this is rather bulky and I can just see it being fairly uncomfortable. If I want to have it with me at work, next to my computer, either of these could be beautiful to work with. So Amazonite is a wonderful stone to help soften and clear out and kind of, I don't want to say declutter, but really help move some of those stuck energies in the throat chakra. Another stone that's similar to Amazonite in some ways is chrysoprase. You don't want to drop it. So chrysoprase often has these different inclusions, and I love working with stones that have inclusions or occlusions. You'll hear both words, because it really reminds me that, you know, rarely is anything crystal clear, right? I have a beautiful piece of quartz that is literally crystal clear. More often though, I'm going to be working with pieces of quartz that are kind of milky and they have all kinds of little nicks and little crevices in them, because those are the ones that I can relate to as a human being that's in the process of doing healing work. So chrysoprase, wonderful stone to support the throat chakra. Another stone that's sometimes mistaken and confused with chrysoprase is chrysocolla. And here's whoops, take my little name tag, flip it around so you. Sometimes I have my stones identified for in my shop. So here's a piece of raw and rough. And here is a piece of tumbled. Here again, you can see there's this like crevices. It's a pretty soft stone. It's usually somewhere around 2 to 4. I might even say 2 to 3 on the modes. So it's right down there with selenite for its softness. This is a beautiful stone to work with for softening that throat space. Another stone that you could consider working with would be blue lace agate. Blue lace agate is actually a stone that has both white quartz and blue chalcedony. It's often very banded, and so it is a wonderful stone. Up here for the brow, it does kind of resonate with wind, but it also has some soft qualities that can be very helpful for the throat. Here is a piece of blue calcite. And at some point during the last year, I've talked more about calcite, but calcite is it's really this kind of family or grouping of gemstones that can be very helpful for clearing. So if we want to clear the energy field, we can work with calcite. This particular one is blue, so it's going to be very helpful in kind of clearing out this throat space. What I find interesting about calcite is that calcite resonates with fire element, across the board fire. So it's got this kind of sparky energy, and the various minerals included within the calcite are going to give it various hues. So you could have a piece of red calcite, which is very much about clearing, especially that earth, and it's about helping with the physical body. You can have a piece of here, honey calcite. This is going to be very helpful working in that second and third chakra. Then you've got the white here, very effective working on clearing those top crown chakra spaces. So in this case, we are working with the clearing properties of calcite overall. We're working with the fire element energies that this particular species of stone, calcite, resonate with, and we're working with the minerals that are giving it this blue hue. So it's really fabulous to be able to support throat work. Final piece I brought here, I wanted to show you, and this is celestite. Sometimes it's confused, often it's confused with blue calcite. Totally different minerals, totally different stones. You'll often, let me see if I can move it in the light, you might be able to see it's got these terminations. We were talking about the terminations earlier, right? When we were talking about the wands and how sometimes the stone is naturally terminated, and oftentimes, here's that lapis, it's been handmade into that shape, hand-shaped. So this is a stone that's, I gotta say, it's really, really beautiful for the throat. It's not practical to carry this. It's a pretty soft stone. I have seen spheres of this. One of my favorite spheres is about this big of celestite. And of course, it is I have to be very careful with it when I'm handling it, okay? So any of those stones that are going to be working with the throat, with the element of water, are going to be very helpful that I've talked about here. And notice that all of them, except for a couple, there were three, the celestite, the blue calcite, and the blue lace agate. All the others have green in them, so it can very easily, any of those can be very effective between both the heart chakra and the throat chakra in helping to do that clearing. So when we have this question saying, I'm sort of having some issues at work and I want to have the right stone with me, I would say, pull out your stones. First of all, are any of them kind of right from the get-go pulling your attention? That could be a very strong sense that that's a stone that can be helpful. And yes, it may very likely be a stone that's blue or aqua, but it doesn't have to be. It could be that you're having some trouble communicating and you're pulled to a piece of stone that you have that is maybe anchoring, and it's helping you to just kind of be where you are so that you can be more present to what's happening. I love the fact that we have our root chakra at the bottom, which helps us get grounded. Then it moves up. So it's the root is grounding, then it moves up into that more, beginning into that fiery place of the second and third chakras where we have emotions and we have thoughts, and then it moves up into the heart. In order for us to do effective heart work and to be very compassionate and loving and kind, we have to feel safe. We have to feel like we have a tribe and that we belong, and that whenever those issues arise, that is root chakra work. So if you're having some communication issues and you're just sit with them and figure out, what am I feeling? Well, I feel really left out. I feel like I'm not included, and that's why I'm having communication issues. I would say go back to working with an earth stone. Grab a piece of jasper. Sit with a piece of hematite. Work with something that's going to help you stay with what's arising, because that's where the beauty and the power is, okay? So there was a lot in that question, and I'm really glad we had a chance to talk about that. There's time for one final question, and I haven't done a rock talk video on this particular stone yet, and I may, this will probably be my little kind of oomph to do it. Says, I ran across a picture of a really interesting gemstone called Chiastolite. The cross pattern in the stone intrigued me. what types of qualities does this stone have and how can it be used? So chiastolite is actually also known as cross stone. I'm going to try and hold it so you can see it. I think you can catch the cross. The beauty of this stone is whether or not you can visibly see the cross where the matrix of the various minerals align, and with that internal structure, how it aligns, whether you can see it visibly or not, doesn't matter. Here is an example of a piece of chiastolite where just one of the lines is visible. And in my healing practice, I have a very small piece, about less than half the size of this one. And you can't see any of the crisscross, but it's very powerful. Chiastolite is a stone of convergence. It's as if all the energies are coming together, and it is a storm element stone. And so don't be surprised if you're working with chiastolite or beginning to learn about stones, and maybe you come to see me for a crystal healing session and chiastolite shows up as one of the stones that wants to work with you. This is an indication that you are in the process of doing transformational work. It doesn't mean the whole world is going to fall apart. It doesn't mean you're going to get a new job and a new car and all of these things. It is about something shifting within you that is helping you to become more aligned with your true self, more aligned with the compassion and the wisdom and the grace within you. So when working with chiastolite, it is a stone that invites in this place of intersecting body and spirit, spirit and mind, heaven and earth, love and compassion and wisdom and grace, right? So it's a very amazing stone to work with. And that's one side. And that's the other. So that is chiastolite, and I will very likely do a rock talk video in the very near future on chiastolite because it's actually a pretty amazing stone. So we've talked a lot. We revisited a little bit of my experience in Tucson and Arizona, the gem show, finding vendors from various countries that I can add to my my resource list so that I know where I'm getting my stones from. We talked about wands. We talked about how to work with gemstones that are in our own backyard, right? And so how we can explore the world and magic and mystery of crystals and gemstones from places all over the world. And we can also appreciate what we've got under our own feet. We talked about how to work with stones that are going to help support that throat chakra and support communication from a place of love and compassion. And we had an opportunity to, I'm looking over at the Rhodonite. Don't want to forget the Rhodonite. So that's that great stone for earth and fire and open heart and healing work within that heart space. And then we concluded with the chiastolite, this beautiful cross stone of convergence, where heaven and earth meet, where we experience body, mind, spirit, well-being. So it has been really great questions. I'm so grateful for you for sending them in. Please check out the links below this video. If you are really feeling like you'd like to learn more about energy healing or about crystal healing, and whether that's a beginning or an advanced level, please take a look at the information, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you discern where you're being invited to, because I really want to help you heal yourself. Self-healing is not selfish. It is imperative that we take care of ourselves so we can get our stuff out of the way. We can show up authentically with others and really transform the world, one person at a time. And that's really all that matters. So again, many blessings to you. Reach out if you have questions. You can visit my online shop, not only to see what I have available, but to explore the stones you have, learn about their properties, learn about which gemstones align and resonate with which particular element. Again, it's about supporting you in your journey of health and well-being. So for now, I simply offer you many blessings. Be well.